Wow, you made me sound really tap.
Is that Kaua'i slang, tap? I feel like I heard that before.
It's just like you made me sound really epic there. I promise I'm just a regular human being. So I went to my high school counselors and I said, hey, I got into Stanford. Can you send them a copy of my official transcript? And they were like, you didn't get into Stanford. And I was like, what? And they were like, no one's ever got in there. You didn't get in there. So I said, I actually got in. Can you please send a transcript? And then they sat me down and they called my mom because they thought I was lying and they thought I was like playing a trick. I think I very much sit in my name, Maluhia. I'm very peaceful and I love just like gentleness. I love like sitting quietly in the kai. I love like farming, small restorative things that make places better.
I already had Pua on and Moana. So now you're the third. I gotta get the other two. I feel like I'm Thanos, like in collecting the Infinity Stones for Surf Girls Hawai'i. Velina mai kako, welcome to Keep It Aloha, a podcast that keeps it aloha by knowing when someone asks if you're goofy, that they're not asking if you are a Disney character or silly. I'm your host Kinimaka, and I'm goofy. But I'm not talking about my surfing stance. Today, we have a regular guest, and now I'm talking about her surfing stance. Okay, that was the last joke. I've been looking forward to this episode for a while now, so I cannot wait to talk with our amazing guest. But before we introduce our guest, I got to remind you about our Patreon at patreon.com/Kimakadias. We're an independent podcast funded by you and our sponsors, so if you want to support us for as little as $3 a month, go check it out. If supporting us with money is not for you, but you still love this podcast, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps out so much with the algorithm and helps us get bigger opportunities in the future. We also have merch at keepitaloha.com, or if you want some cool local shirts that I wear on the podcast, just like this one, make sure you check out my other company, mahaloshoots.com, to get you a shirt just like this. Okay, let's introduce our guest. Support for this podcast comes from Texaco in Hawaii, which features 58 convenient locations across the state. Fueling up at Texaco is fast and easy when you use the Texaco mobile app to pay at the pump. The Texaco mobile app is a contactless way to pay for fuel so you can get in and out of the gas station quickly. Fuel your car and fuel yourself. Pick up your favorite local snacks and ice cold drinks at your neighborhood Texaco today. Texaco at Techron, driving performance. Immerse yourself in the underwater wonders of Hawaii's marine life with Hawaii Ocean Charter's hands-on guided snorkeling tours. Whether it's your first time falling in love with Waikiki or you're rediscovering its beauty just like me, there is no better way to see it than from the ocean. Personally, it was one of the best things I have done this year. I got to snorkel with some turtles and fishes, and I was able to catch the coolest sunset over the water. Conveniently located in Kaka'ako with online booking and live availability, finding the perfect day on the water couldn't be easier with them. Ride in style on their unique and well cared for power catamaran that offers all the amenities you need. Locally owned and operated, their friendly crew lives for sharing their love for the ocean with others. Sunset cruises, guided snorkeling tours, whale and dolphin watching, coastal sightseeing, and fireworks shows are among the tours their guests love the most. Use code KIA50 to get $50 off of your next charter. Our guest today is a Native-Hawaiian professional surfer from the island of Kaua'i. This Roxy girl is not just a force of nature on some of the world's most iconic waves, but is also a valedictorian, Stanford graduate, structural engineer and architect, an environmental activist, model, and most recently starred in Surf Girls Hawai'i, which is a documentary series on Prime Video featuring 5 of the best young Native Hawaiian surfers who are inspiring a new generation of women to jump into the ocean. As a daughter of a surfing legend, she inherited not only the lineage, but the determination to make her own waves in and out of the water. I am so stoked she's here today. Her name is Maluhia Hali'i o Kaua'i e Pili Aloha Kinimaka. Aloha, Maluhia. Welcome to the podcast here at iDate Studios. How you doing?
Aloha, my koa. Wow, you made me sound really tap. I promise I'm just a regular.
Is that Kaua'i slang, tap?
Tap.
I feel like I heard that before.
It's just like you made me sound really epic there.
Yeah.
I promise I'm just a regular human being.
Well, your resume would say otherwise. I was trying to practice saying your whole name too, because I know on your Instagram, you have your whole name, so
it's my whole one. It's just the first name because Instagram doesn't have enough characters to fit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why.
What is that? I don't want to call how many characters that is. But anyways, I'm stoked to hear. It's great to meet you in person. I really loved the series on Prime Video with you and all the other girls. I already had Pua on and Moana. So now you're the third. I got to get the other two. I feel like I'm Thanos, like in collecting the Infinity Stones for Surf Girls Hawai'i.
That's so funny.
So you're the third Infinity Stone. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a lot to get into, and we always got to start at the beginning. Where are you from? Where you grad? And what was it like growing up?
Where am I from? Where am I grad?
Where are you from? Where you grad?
Oh,
and what was it like growing up?
Okay. I was born and raised in Aloha, Kaua'i. That's in the Ko'olau region of Kaua'i, east side. But then I spent most of my time kind of between Kealia and Haena. I went to Kapaa High School. That's where I graduated from for high school. And then I went to Stanford University for my undergrad. And what was the third question?
What was it like growing up?
What was it like? It was simple. It wasn't super complicated. It was, spent a lot of time. My dad has a lot of siblings. He has 8 brothers and 8 sisters.
Wait, 8 brothers and 8 sisters, not combined?
No, not combined.
So 16 siblings?
Yeah.
How did they get it so even like that, 8 and 8?
Well, maybe law of large numbers. Statistics moves to 50-50.
See, like this is the Stanford graduate right here.
No, I don't know. No, it was two different tutus. Or like there was like the first batch of 8, second batch of 8, and they just happened to be half and half like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just like spending time with my family, a lot of time. I would often my dad would take me surfing wherever it was good. And then my mom was a school teacher when we were little. So my dad, it's kind of like my mom was always making sure we were doing well in school. And then my dad was always teaching us everything about the ocean that he knew. So yeah, that was kind of my childhood.
Yeah, so he would take you out surfing at a young age, go diving, swimming, all that.
Yeah.
All just water. Because he was a waterman of the year, right?
Yeah, he was. I think that might have been in 1996, 98. Okay. I can't remember. It was when I was like either fresh baby or just born. But my dad is, he's not book smart. Like if you measure smartness in a Western sense, like he could barely finish high school. But he is like one of the wisest people I know and also one of the best watermen I know. So I think for him, all that was valuable for us to inherit from him was his knowledge of the ocean.
For sure. I mean, some people learn better in the classroom. Some people learn outside of the classroom. Life is the greatest teacher. You know?
It is.
The ocean, the land. There's so much that you can learn from that. I've learned way more outside of the classroom than I ever did.
I agree. Even like going to one of the, what people would think is like one of the best knowledge Western institutions in the world for learning, I think I've learned more from the ocean.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember your first time surfing?
I remember, well, my dad always, everything that he had was like red. So he had red surfboards, like red trunks. He just really likes the color red. So I have like these really vague memories of his like red longboard because he would sit me down on the nose of the board when I was like 6 to 8 months old. So I just have these really blurry, vague memories of red, like longboard nose. And then the feeling of like, when you catch a wave and it's like a weightless half second, like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, so you're toes to the nose from the start, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm 30 years old, still trying to get toes to the nose.
No, you do helicopters.
And hurt myself.
You're better than you let on.
Yeah, and hurt myself doing it. So I still got to practice.
Yeah.
So growing up on Kauai is such a small town. You know everybody. There's not a lot of opportunity that seems within sight, I guess I would say. Coming from a small town, it seemed like people just get a job. You work at Walmart or, I don't know, one of the offices over there for the doctor's office. But what else is there besides that,
Well, I think when I was in high school, I went to just a regular like state public high school. The things they really prepped us for, the options and the opportunities that they let us believe that we had were to go into some kind of development as an engineer or a contractor, to work in the hospitality industry. Let's see, what else? It was to start your own business or to become some kind of like labor, like mechanic, or like somebody who's like a builder, or like a craftsperson. Those seem to be like the only 4 opportunities they really prepped you for coming from a public high school. So sometimes it's like if you don't know there's more out there, like you would kind of get stuck in that, like, oh, like go to high school, like get a job, get married really early, have babies. And there's nothing wrong with that if you find happiness in it. But then it leads to this huge inequity where it's like the local people are making like $60,000 to $80,000 a year, and then we have people moving from the mainland who are like either retired tech millionaires or people who they bring in to work in like county positions, state positions, who have influence in like environmental policy or what is actually happening and being developed on Kauai. So that's where it gets dangerous, where there's like not too many people who grew up there who have a relationship with the Aina that are making decisions about the future. That's not okay. in my perspective, that's not okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, from a very Hawaiian perspective too, you know, the land is equal or even greater than us, you know?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we gotta put it first. So when people like Mark Zuckerberg, whatever, come with their millions, billions of dollars, however much he has, and they just buy up the land, they don't understand why that's not pono.
Yeah,
you know?
I think initially, well, I know quite a few people who work for him, like in and around his sphere. And I know he tried to, like, obviously we heard there's a scandal with the Kuleana lands, like trying to assimilate them into his property that he bought pretty forcefully and in a bad way. But I think from that initial interaction, he learned a lot about, okay, I can't necessarily overlook the Kanaka community here. Not defending him at all, because I don't know him. I don't know much about his inner workings, but I do know that he bought the entirety of like Huleia Fish Pond and like repatriated that to Malama Huleia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it kind of like allows them to have autonomy and like guarantee that no matter like whatever they why am I forgetting this word today?
Tap.
No, it's like whatever Aina work they do there to restore the local i'a will like stay there, because I think before they were on a lease where they were never sure if they were going to get to
it's like in perpetuity.
Yeah, in perpetuity
whatever.
They will have the Aina back, which is freaking awesome.
Oh,
but,
super cool. Well, he just had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get cracks sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gotta get cracks so you can get tap. That's the new motto on Kauai.
I catch more cracks than getting tap, I think.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
I just have one sister.
Just you and your sister?
One little sister.
Okay, yeah. I've seen videos of you two together and your dad as well. So I'm guessing you guys are really close, huh? I was gonna say that's like your sister.
Yeah. If she and I were a whole person, we would like be indestructible.
Yeah, you almost look like twins.
We almost do look like twins. She's a little shorter than me. Dead giveaway. Just joking. No, she's awesome. My sister is extremely creative. If you ask her to draw something for you, it'll be like this beautiful art piece in like 20 minutes versus I would take 5 hours to draw something of lesser magnitude. My sister is really good with anything film and photography related. She's like also very good with fashion. She's just is that like left brain kind of things? Like, I don't know what the terminology is, but
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the classifications.
Yeah. So she's anything creative. Like my sister is so good with that. She has been since we were little.
Nice. And you're more analytical?
Yeah, I think so. More like math, science stuff came easy to me, but like if you ask me to like draw something, I'm the person that gets the ruler and Well,
I've been stuck on stick people since second grade or however old you are when you draw stick people. But so who was a better surfer, you or her?
Gosh, I don't know. It depends on how you define what is better surfing. You know,
whoever has the most fun.
Yeah. If it's whoever has the most fun, it's probably my name. No, I'm joking. Nah. It just depends. My sister's very stylish. Like her surfing almost looks like more like dancing. And I think my surfing is more powerful. I like to like attack.
Yeah.
I think because I'm like real mellow, that's where I let out all my
You take it out on the ocean.
No, I don't take it out on the ocean, but it allows me to channel it out.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So at what point in your life did you get really into surfing and you knew that it was going to become your life?
I think it was more so like I couldn't survive without surfing. For me, surfing was always like my my safe space where I could just go and like have some time to process things, not talk to anybody, or even just like, not think about anything. And so no matter what I did like in my life otherwise, I would always just come back to it. And then finally someone was like, well, if you love that thing so much, why don't you just do that for work? And I was kind of like, what? I was like, I don't know. I think because my dad raised us with the responsibility of like, yes, surfing is like a gift. Being a water person is a gift, but there's kuleana that comes with that. And you can't just take. You have to make sure you put things back. So I felt a little guilty just trying to do only surfing as my career.
That's interesting because Moana said a similar thing about she feels like we take a lot from the ocean, but we don't give that much back. Yeah, and like making money off of the ocean through surfing or whatever it is, it feels a little, I guess, guilty. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like. Which is funny because like surfing, you float on the surface of the kai, like you're very much surface level with it. But so for instance, like they're like the WSL, they'll go around the world and they'll set up contests, and like generally contests are about a week long. So like during this week, it's like a giant event that they've organized. They create waste, like they bring in all this infrastructure, they set everything up. Surfers, there'll probably be like about 100 people that attend the event. So then they're making like trash over the course of a week. They come to the spots. They don't call the spots by their actual Hawaiian names. They're getting better about it now, but like, they'll kind of come, set up, use this place for a week, and they'll kind of make like for instance, the North Shore of Oahu is like where everybody gathers and like kind of shows their talent if you're a professional surfer. But then they don't really give back to any of the community, like whether they're Hawaiian or just local people that have lived there their whole lives. Like suddenly it's like almost an unlivable space in the winter because you've got all these people, all these contests, and like subsequently all this pollution. And surfers come, they take, and then they leave. And it's very nomadic. And it's not necessarily like, I don't want to shame anybody for how they live their life, but it's just not what I was taught. So like I think a lot of surfers now are kind of like, okay, how can we give back? How can we show more of the space to make sure that, what we're doing is pono? It's nice that people are educating them about that. And I think the one good thing about social media is that there's almost this social pressure to do good. Yeah. Whether it's virtue signaling or not. Just because you're under the microscope, especially if you have a lot of followers, you have a big platform, people are wondering, okay, what are you going to do to help? What are you going to do to give back? Yeah. It happens all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I try to just do like small stuff that I feel like I can do to give back, whether that's like trying to shoot a campaign with Roxy where my sister uses her knowledge of Aloha Hawai'i to like make this awesome short film where it's in Aloha Hawai'i. Yeah. Beautiful. Because when we were little, I didn't see anybody doing stuff like that. And I was always like, I wish I could see that. I wish I could see a surfer that looked like me and my sister. I mean, there was like Megan Abubo, Auntie Rel. There are some awesome, absolute tap hammers. No. But yeah, I think it's really cool. And now with Pua and Eve, like it's like all continuing, and they're even better than us, which is awesome.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I didn't grow up surfing. I didn't really follow everything until maybe a couple of years ago. So to see people like Eve and Pua surfing at a high level, but also promoting Olelo Hawaii, so cool. Because that's something I always thought about with the athletes that I see, even the guys in the NFL or the UFC. It's super cool that they're representing Hawaii, but nobody ever talks about the culture, not the culture, the language, and or they don't necessarily, I guess, promote it as much as I would want to, I guess.
Yeah.
Not saying that they have an obligation to, because maybe they just don't feel comfortable doing that. But I've always wanted to see more.
I agree.
More representation in terms of the language.
I completely agree. And also, like, there was at Haleiwa, the Haleiwa Challenger Series this last year, Eve made the final. And then when she was on the podium, she was, like, speaking Aloha Hawaii, like, both to the people at Haleiwa and on the webcast. And I was, like, legit almost crying. So proud of her. I think it's, like, for instance, like, Eve and Pua are, like, very fluent, especially Eve. And so I think maybe it's like they want to like have that space to speak Aloha Hawaii, but sometimes people don't give it to you. Like when you're doing interviews, especially like for Surf Girls, they flew us all over the place to do press. And a lot of the times it's like they ask you a question and they want you to give a very cut and dry answer. Like for instance, like, how old were you when you started surfing? Like not you, but like, and then you say like, oh, like 6 years old. And then they say like, oh, how was your, did someone in your family surf? And then like they just have like a set line of questions where they very much want you to be like the happy picturesque Hawaiian surfer girl. And then it's
the Roxy girl.
Yeah. I know problematic AF. But they don't give you that space, so a lot of the times I think you have to make it yourself. So if they ask you a question, you almost have to ignore it and insert it. At least this is what my sister taught me over time. She's like, whatever they ask you, just like insert how you actually want to answer. So yeah, and that comes, I think, just with experience and age too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that series a little bit, because I watched it. I remember learning about it, and I was super excited. My friend Matt, I surfed with him, Fuji. So he said he did some of the underwater shots.
Yeah,
and
he
stuff,
did.
Yeah.
There was like they had us try to remake a Blue Crush shot underwater, but no, Matt nailed it.
Yeah, Matt's awesome. He's in Tahiti right now with Ha'a
and Nani.
Yeah.
So fun.
I was surfing with Matt. That's Matt and my friend Rachel. When I hurt my ribs, so it was a fun day though. Before that,
when you did your helicopter,
and we all got hurt that day. I think.
No.
I think Rachel hit her. She Charlie horsed her thigh or something, and then I don't know what happened to Matt, but I think he was just getting aggro because these guys at Rock Pals just kept hogging all the waves or something. So his feelings got hurt. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
But that series, I left the review on IMDb too. It's one of my first reviews. It's so amazing. I loved watching it. One, because I'm really into surf now, so I love following it. Two, because I love seeing the representation of all of you guys. And three, I think it was just so cool to see the behind the scenes of the lives that you have, and like the struggles that, not just the successes, the struggles that a person like you have to go through during the tour. It's
in reference
crazy.
to the injury to my knee,
injury,
or just
and then like
general?
Even the losing, the winning, the training.
Yeah.
Like, man, every time I watch it, because I had Dwayne on the podcast too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Like, Dwayne, you're so scary.
They made him look like, I think, more intense than he actually is.
Yeah.
Their dynamic felt very pressured. But it's not like that at all.
Yeah, no, he's such a cool guy. But I mean, he's a hammer. Like,
yeah, he is.
I wouldn't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about your experience with that.
So it was like just like randomly anything about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, so how did that come up?
Okay, there was a few years ago there was a YouTube series. The creator of Surf Girls, her name's Monica Medellin. And she's a Latino female producer. And so she became very interested in having female representation from sports all over the world. And she was herself as a surfer. So she was like, I've always wanted to see a show about like Native women surfing. And so she made a really cool mini series that's called Surf Girls Hawai'i. And it was about Pua, Eve, Vahiti. Who else was in there? It was a bunch of the younger, like it was from girls from their generation when they were about 15 years old. And that I actually saw that on YouTube and it was really well done. So I was like, wow, this is impressive. This is really cool. And then shortly before the season started in Hawaii last winter, my manager called me and she was like, oh, if you've ever seen that YouTube series, Surf Girls Hawai'i, they want to make it into a full-blown show. Would you want to do it? And at first, I was really hesitant to do a show because I'm a little shy and I get nervous in front of camera and I get awkward. So even though it doesn't seem like it, I do.
Oh, no, we can tell.
Yeah.
You're killing it. You're killing it.
No. So yeah, I was just hesitant because you're also giving away a lot of your personal life. Mm-hmm. And you're also adding an extra level of like kuleana to yourself and like how you hold yourself and act, even in good situations and bad situations. And so it can be a lot of pressure.
For sure.
So I wasn't quite sure, but then when I talked to Monica on the phone and knowing how that other series came out on YouTube, I was like, this actually seems like a really cool platform to be able to talk about, like, to make surfing, to bring back the Hawaiian culture into surfing. Mm-hmm. Not that it was ever lost, but just because the surf industry has evolved so far away from it. And so, and I also knew like Pua was going to do it, Moana was going to do it, Eve was going to do it. So I was like, okay, these are like really cool people. It would be really awesome to work on this. So I joined like pretty late, I think. And I think, yeah, so it was like when we first started filming it, we had to go sit in for these 4-hour, it was like 3.5 hour long interviews, I think, where it was like, they were trying to do like maybe per se a personality test on us.
Okay.
And then I was a little worried because I was like, oh no, are they going to start drama? Like, but no, it was more so, I think, just so the camera crew could get to know us, so that when they were shooting, they could register like, oh, now's a good time. Maybe now's not a good time. And everybody who worked on the show, both through production and like people in front of the camera, were there with very good intentions. And I think everybody knew like the kuleana that we had in the show to put Hawaiian culture on the platform. And so I think everybody really gave like 130% for the show. And even though there was very little budget, very little time to do the episodes, like everybody really went as hard as possible so that they could come out with how it came out. We had a bunch of extra days filming where we were working like in the local i'a, like the lo'i, training in makaha, shooting, where I wish they could have showed more of that. But I couldn't see with like the time slot they had, they kind of just stuck to the competition. But I think they're going to do season 2.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler. That's going to be filmed this winter. So hopefully they have more resources to show more. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know it was trending on Prime Video.
Yeah.
It was like in the top 5.
Yeah,
maybe?
it was like I think it was in the top 5 for like a week and a half. And then it was in top
3 or something.
Yeah, and then it was like in top 10 for a while.
Yeah.
So like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was kind of weird to suddenly go places and then have people know uncomfortably much about your life.
They're just random people like, oh yeah, how's your knee?
Yeah, no, seriously, they were like, oh my gosh, how's your knee? It was cool. Like it's cool to connect with people that you don't know, or to have someone feel like they identify with something about you, or like to see you overcome something and so they can overcome that too.
Sure.
It was just a little weird for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like Pua and Moana and Eve would say the same.
Yeah, I mean, totally new territory, right? Because you all have a following on social media, but being recognized on social media versus being known for something in real life, or that's surfing, or like a TV show, which is like way bigger. Like people come up to you and they recognize you and they talk stories and they ask you questions, and they, like you said, a lot of your privacy was, I guess, ripped away. So people know about you. So it's like this person's like, hey Maluhia, how's it going? And you're like, do I know you?
Nah, I'm always friendly to people.
No, that's what people do. So for example, like, people come up to me and they'll just be like, hey Kinimaka.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, do I know this person? Did I meet them before?
You're sorting through.
I wish they would just say like, oh, hey, I'm this, I like your podcast or something like that. Sometimes people just come up and they're just like, they talk to you like they've known you.
Yeah, they do.
And I have to try to decipher, do I actually know this person?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, it's both like a blessing because you do get certain like privilege from people recognizing you, like, but then you also, you have to trade your privacy away for that.
Yeah, definitely.
But if I have to trade my privacy away to bring the lahui up, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I think you did a great job, you and all the girls. It made me very proud to be Hawaiian.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm not a female surfer, but it made me proud. And I'm sure the young girls coming up, guarantee they were inspired.
Yeah.
For sure.
I hope so. That was the main reason I really wanted to do it. And I think it would be awesome as well because, like, for instance, Carissa Moore is like
the GOAT.
First female Olympic gold medalist in surfing, and she's Kanaka, and she's essentially like female Duke Kahanamoku. Like, it's just like that in itself is so inspiring.
Yeah.
So it's cool to show all kinds of different facets of like surfers, from like free surfers to Carissa. Like, I hope they can show a little bit more of like work with her, as well as like other, like for instance, Coco. Yeah. Maluhia Manuel is also really awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I loved it, but there was a part, I think it was like episode 2 or 3, where it made me really sad to see you get hurt.
Oh yeah, with my knee.
And that was when you were just training, right? Or it was like practicing the day before?
Yeah.
Was that Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically.
I know.
Yes, I. No, but Florida was the last contest of that season, and I think I was like in 6th place overall in the ratings, and the top 4 could qualify. And the girls that were ahead of me, I think, were Eve, Aaron Brooks. Like, they were just, it was super close. So like if I had just out-surfed to like 2 people or 3 people, I could have qualified for the Challenger, which at that time in my life was what I thought I really wanted to do. So then it was like, me and Moana, if you ask Moana about the event too, it was like we were having, we also had Kaua'i Fierro with us too. She's Vahine's little sister from Tahiti. So we were all kind of just going to practice. It was the last session before the contest, the night before the contest. And it was the silliest, smallest wave in the whole world.
Always the smallest
wave. The silliest, smallest wave. And I just kind of did like this weird layback thing. And there was also a hurricane. So the water was real slippery. Like, it just had lots of runoff and like detergent in it. Everyone was kind of falling and eating it and like falling really badly in weird ways because it was slippery. And I just like slipped funny. And then my kneecap dislocated. But then it actually tore pretty badly my MPFL, which is a little ligament that keeps your kneecap in place.
Crazy.
So then at first, I think the producers of the show were like, "Can you still surf?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. Absolutely
just rub
not."
some dirt on it.
Yeah, no. They were like, there was actually a really good, that contest is called the Supergirl. And so the Supergirl is like their contest organized specifically for women. And so they usually have a really good support system where it's like you can go to, if you need a medical doctor, if you need an athletic trainer, you have full access. So they actually had really good like first aid and like athletic training available, but my knee was like totally blown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember you saying that you're thinking if you need to get surgery or not.
Yeah. So I got to go, shucks, I'm now blanking on the name of the hospital. But anyway, so they said definitely, I don't know if this happens to a lot of Native Hawaiian women, because I also have a few friends that have the same thing. But essentially, like, just the way that if you have wide hips and like narrow knees, it pulls your, I don't know, I don't really want to explain the full anatomical thing of it because I don't know it per se, but essentially there's a ligament that should attach here and attach here. And for some reason, just the way I was born, this ligament is angled like this. So essentially, to fix the problem for good, I would have to, they would go in, unbolt it, and bolt it back here. Like, they would detach it and then rebolt it, which takes about a year to heal. So that surgery is kind of like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to kind of end my career. So it was kind of hard to hear. So my other option was to do like really intense physical therapy, which I did for a while. And then the goal was like, okay, if I didn't make the challengers, I can still surf at Pipeline for the Vans Pipe Masters. And so I did really, really intense PT for like 6 weeks, trying to get to the level. And then when I tried to surf the first time, like a week before the contest, it just like was so sketchy. I was like, I'm not going to go paddle out to Ehukai when it could be like 10 feet.
Yeah. And I remember you gave up your spot, right?
Yeah. And then I gave up my spot to Brianna, so I was actually really stoked.
Yeah, that's a cool moment.
Yeah. Because when you know it's going to go to your friend, like, it just makes it that much better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I've had some questions about from Instagram about your knee. People asking how it is, what's the update, injury report.
Oh, injury report. It's much better now. There's a muscle that's called the VMO, which is just here. Or it's like, I don't know if I can lift my knee up, but there's a muscle called the VMO. That muscle, the density of that muscle indicates like the health of your overall knee for my specific injury. So I think like 100% density is like regular and healthy. And I think mine is probably like 70% density, which is not exactly ideal.
Which is definitely not valedictorian.
No. But you know what? C's get degrees.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm about C. I'm a C plus at the moment.
The lowest grade she's ever had in her life, guarantee.
No. We can talk about that later. I'd love to talk about that. No, yeah. So I'm like at a C plus right now.
Okay.
But essentially the both my physical therapist and the knee surgeon that I was talking to were saying you should probably never surf again without athletic tape and a sleeve to brace my kneecap until you get that surgery. Just because they said there's a high risk of it coming out with the type of activity that I'm doing, which is really like surfing is really heavy landing on your joints, especially in your legs. And it's also like you have to be both strong and flexible. So you have to hyperextend a lot, and that's where it's kind of scary to come out.
We can just start longboarding and going straight.
I know.
You know, canoe's a great spot to do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know. I actually love longboarding. It's like, and I love Alaya too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's, like I said, it's the most fun.
My friend Chris Miyashiro, I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah. He does awesome art.
Yeah, solid guy, artist. He's a great surfer. He let me use his Alaya before, and it was the weirdest feeling ever. Really? Because I just felt like I felt like I was floating in outer space trying to just stay on the board.
It's almost like the amount of paddling is like playing water polo, I think.
It's like, yeah, there's nothing under me. I felt like I was just paddling but also trying to hold the board underneath me. So the people that can ride those, I'm just so impressed. Yeah, it's crazy. So you hurt your knee, you couldn't compete anymore. You're still in the show supporting people. That's really cool.
Well, they're all my friends, so I want them to do good.
That's the coolest thing is to see the camaraderie between all of you and the genuine friendships and jokes and all that.
Yeah,
I love seeing all that. Was it weird knowing that it wasn't a reality TV show like the kind we're thinking of, like Jersey Shore, but it was reality in the sense of your lives, your actual lives and emotions and stuff like that. So how was that whole process, and what was your biggest takeaway from it all?
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, to be completely honest, after that I was pretty sad. I was pretty depressed. And the reason I think I was depressed is because I wasn't a little kid trying to do surfing anymore. I was like a 25-year-old, 26-year-old adult. And when you're an adult, you don't have anybody like paying your rent or, the basic necessities of living. So the way that I got back to surfing was after I graduated from Stanford. I worked really hard, like regular, like 40-hour, sometimes 50-hour a week grind. I saved up a bunch of money because surfing is wildly expensive. I did a photo shoot with my sister for Roxy, and then they were like, "Oh, do you want to get re-signed to the team?" And I said, "Okay." And by that time, I had savings and I had some support from their income. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, because I feel like if I don't go for it, I will be sad that I never tried. Because when I was little, like right when I was on the cusp of trying to go for the tour, that's when I actually had the same knee injury the first time.
The same exact one?
The same one, yeah.
Oh.
But it was like a lot less severe. it just kind of came out and came back in. It's kind of like when people dislocate their shoulder.
Yeah, they just pop it back in.
Yeah, it pops out and pops in. But this one was like it popped out and it didn't go back in.
Oh.
It's kind of gross. But yeah, essentially, so I was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go all in because this is what I love doing and I believe I can do it. And so then like after investing like all the time, all the energy into like getting really fit, coaching, getting good boards, to have that goal be so close and then like not get the chance to do it because of an injury is like, I just don't have words to describe.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know as an athlete, I've been hurt so many times in my life, not to that scale. I mean, I had wrist surgery.
I can see your scar. Yeah.
So pretty much for a whole year, I was out not being able to do anything. And I'm not a professional athlete at your level, but I'm a very active person.
Yeah. No, anybody who's active, who needs to move, to like suddenly have the limitation of like not being able to move is so difficult. So like now I've learned as a takeaway so much appreciation for my health and mobility, and also so much appreciation for people who like for some reason are immobile due to like a sickness or a deformity, who are still up and grinding. Like that is amazing. Those people like inspire me to look on the bright side and like overcome whatever life throws at them. Is something really cool I've taken away from it. And then also just kind of being gentle with myself, where it's prioritizing like my health and like my happiness first, instead of trying to like ku'e all the time and like do these crazy things. It was a really good lesson for me. And also just to find that happiness and balance, whether I have like I said, surfing was like my safe space. So then suddenly I'm like, safe space is gone. What am I doing? Like
trauma right there.
A little bit.
A little PTSD.
Yeah. But not so bad, but it just made me appreciate surfing so much more.
Like it could be taken away from you like that.
Yeah. And also just it made me reassess, I guess, like competition, why people choose to do competition. Because I don't think surfing would be as impactful on your body if you surfed like how our kupuna surfs, where it's like you're surfing for connection and regeneration and to relieve stress from the kuleana that you carry, versus like when you're surfing for competition, you're having to surf like 4 to 6 hours every day. You're having to push your body, train, and I just think it's unsustainable after a while. A
little unnatural too.
To be doing that much. So it helped me reassess things and try to keep a better balance.
Yeah, that's a really cool takeaway that I'm sure you reflected a lot and thought about all of that. So that's cool that you thought about that. When I saw Aaron Rodgers, I know you don't watch football, but he was quarterback. I don't know if you know who Aaron Rodgers is.
No, I don't.
One of the greatest quarterbacks, but he went to this team called the Jets, and he's.
Oh no! Wait, I do know this person.
Yeah. He's kind of famous because he's like, take the ayahuasca and whatever.
Yeah,
so
I do know. I have seen this person before.
Yeah. So he's he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They had a series called Hard Knocks where they document certain teams. They documented the New York Jets, because it's a big thing that Aaron Rodgers was going there. He's going to save the franchise because they've been bad for so many years. So the series was great. I watched it. Everybody's super hyped. First game, this was just a couple weeks ago. I think it was like the first drive that he was in, like maybe the third or fourth play. He gets tackled, and then he gets up and he sits back down, and he has to get taken off the field. And then later on, we find out the next day that he tore his Achilles.
No, that's one of the worst ones.
Yeah,
too.
And then he's 39 years old or 40. Something like that. So that's the tail end of his career. Yeah. So it made me think about you, how you're training for this thing so long, and like you had your other career, you focused on school, you came back to the sport. Like he was about to retire, he came back to the sport.
Yeah.
And everybody was super stoked, and then the first
injury right away.
And that's like a 9-month, maybe a year recovery.
Yeah.
So it could end his career.
Yeah.
But then I just saw a couple of interviews with him, and he said he gave some good one out on, possibly he's not done, and just some good. I love when people talk about like strong mentalities and stuff, and that's what it seemed like he has, and I'm sure you're at that point too. But it as just a human on an emotional human level, it just makes you feel so sad for that people, because you know how hard they work to get there, and seeing it being taken away and the first opportunity that you get, it sucks.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I have so much empathy. Like, I always had empathy for people who sustain really bad injuries, but it is, I will say, all part of the sport. And it's like, if you truly love something, whether it comes easy to you or whether it's a little bit of work to get there, you're not going to stop just because of one thing. So I think that was also a really big takeaway, as well as, like I said, when I reassessed like why I was surfing and if I was surfing for the right reasons, I guess the conclusion I came to was, like, it's just something that you can't live without. And I'm sure that quarterback also, like, or anybody who's an athlete who's been injured has gone through like that type of struggle and just persisted, because it's like, well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, you kind of attach your identity to that sport or whatever.
A little bit. I wouldn't say I attached my identity to it fully, but it's just kind of like, it's a way, it's where I express myself. And I'm sure for a lot of athletes too, it's the same way, where it's where you feel the most confident, the most happy, and then to lose that for a bit is like, it's super difficult. Yeah.
Dang, that sucks.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of athletes that I've seen just have multiple injuries, and it all sucks seeing it. But seeing a good comeback is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
comeback season.
Yeah, comeback season for sure. There's I was actually really impressed. I don't know if you follow surfing that intensely, but they just had the WSL finals at Lower Trestles. So it's like,
yeah, I saw who won. I didn't watch it though.
Oh, everybody on the CT. That's like that's the contest that decides who's going to win the world title. The person who came in second on the men's side, Ethan Ewing, actually broke his back in Tahiti like maybe 4 weeks ago.
Wait, what?
Yes, I didn't understand how, but he broke his back and then surfed the finals, and I think ended up coming in second. So I was like, that is some serious dedication. Like,
yeah.
So that's seeing stuff like that is like pretty cool.
Inspiring, yeah.
Yeah, inspiring.
Yeah. So you think you'll be able to get back to?
Yeah, for sure.
To level, especially by the time they start filming again.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think I'm already like I said, like 70% back. Yeah. Okay. I think the biggest, someone who, or anybody who's experienced injury too probably also experiences the mental hurdle. So that was like, my boyfriend was so patient when I was first coming back from injury. Like, he would surf with me all the time. I think also because he had seen me on crutches and seen me like so still for so long. He just wanted to make sure I was okay in the water again. And so I think like one of the first times we tried to surf was in front of his house at Gas Chambers. And it like wasn't small. It was probably like 6 feet. So he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this for your first one?" And I was like, "Yes, let's go." And then I got immediately smoked. And I was like, maybe we'll scale it back. But definitely there was a huge mental hurdle to overcome in terms of like, I can do that same movement with my body and it's not going to happen again. Like trusting your body, trusting your knee, or trusting whatever you injured. Yeah. It just, you have to kind of just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary getting over the mind is one thing that if you can train your mind to be strong, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that we get to see you ripping again on the next season of Surf Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you will. For sure. Yeah.
Okay, then I can say, "Oh, I know her." Yeah.
I can say, "Oh, I know him."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so going back to schooling.
Yeah.
Because that's also a big part of you. And it's really surprising. I would say it's not super common to see somebody who's a professional surfer or that surfs at a very high level also excel outside of the water in the classroom. There's almost a stereotype, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So you're just breaking that all down, which I think is super cool. Same with Cliff Capono, who was also a Hilo boy. Yeah, his family lived across one of my best friends, so I knew the sisters growing up, and I actually just met
Lauren
Cliff.
and Aloha.
Yeah. Well, I've met Cliff before, but I finally got to talk story with him 3 months ago, maybe at an event on Oahu when he was here. And I didn't know he olelo Hawaii's.
Yeah, he does.
That's
he,
so
he and
cool.
Haunani speak olelo Hawaii like almost consistently in the house.
he learned as an adult, which is super cool. Yeah, so we were just talking stories straight Portuguese style, but in Hawaiian.
Yeah. I know, it's awesome. So like or his wife Haunani, or actually a fiance? Sorry. Haunani is a professor at UH Manoa, and she's one of the people that's on my it's not a dissertation, but it's called like an interim committee. So when you present your research, I guess to get your master's or your PhD, you have to be judged by a panel of your professors and peers to say like, oh, that science is valid or it's not. So she's actually one of my mentors, and she's super awesome. But she also, I tried to ask her to speak olelo Hawaii to me, even though I'm just beginning to learn, because I feel like just being around people speaking a language, you learn so much quicker. Yeah.
You gotta immerse yourself.
Yeah, you really do. That's I think the best practice you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were always interested in just learning in general. Yeah, you're just an avid learner.
I think so. Yeah. I just spend a lot of time watching things, not in a creepy way.
Oh, like, yeah, in a super creepy way. She just, hey, if you feel somebody's been watching you, it's probably her.
No, but there's like in Hawaiian, it's kilo. Like you just spend a long time observing a long time observing aina or spaces or people, whatever you want to kilo, maybe the hoku. And I feel like I just always kind of naturally did that. Where my sister was always like making things, I was always like watching and observing.
Watching her making things.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I was watching my name make stuff.
Yeah, so you were the valedictorian of your high school?
Yeah.
Nice. And then you decided to go to Stanford, which is one of the top colleges in the US. What was that period in your life like? Because I feel like it's not very common to see Native Hawaiians excel in education. I went to a Hawaiian immersion school called Navio Kalaniupu on the Big Island. And I think we have one guy, like maybe many years before me, who went to Stanford, and they talk about him. You probably know his name. I don't know.
I don't know. What is his name? He might have been older than me.
Older, yeah. But I don't know, maybe he's in like some Hall of Fame of Stanford people that's Native Hawaiian. I don't know.
We have like, if you go to Stanford, there's the Native American Cultural Center, and they have like a Hall of Fame of students. Okay. But they're mostly like kupuna now, they're like 60, 70. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember his name, like Holo something maybe. But anyways, you followed in that footsteps, and it's super impressive. But did you feel comfortable doing that? What did it feel like? You felt out of place? Or?
So the reason I went to Stanford is because it was the cheapest place for me to go, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, because I got into, there's a program that's really, really, I don't know if it still exists, but it's really helpful. So if you're like from Native Hawaiian, I think, or Native American background, it's called Quest Bridges. And if you excelled in high school, like grade-wise, and you had a good balance of like outside activities that you were passionate about, you were suggested to apply to this. I guess it's like a scholarship. So you apply to this national scholarship. If you win, then you have to apply to schools individually. If you get into that school, then your school is completely free. So I got into, I really liked Cal Poly when I went to go try to apply to different places. I really liked Cal Poly. I liked other places in California, but it would have been like $80,000 a year to go to those schools. And one of my biggest goals when I went to school is I don't want my parents to pay for anything. And it also just wouldn't have been feasible for my family. That's a lot of money. And especially to like start your life in debt is really hard. So that's been a really big privilege that I've had, not having to worry about debt from school. But yeah, for anybody who wants to apply to Stanford, even I think now, if your family makes under $100,000 a year, you can go for almost free. And I think the same might be true for Harvard or like an MIT.
Kind of like financial aid?
Yeah, it's like they have really good financial aid because they're really rich institutions.
Nice.
So for kids who are considering applying to those spaces, just try anyway. Like, don't let money be a hindrance there. Just try it anyway. Like, those will be the places that give you the best financial aid.
Especially if you're ethnic.
Especially,
there's so many scholarships, and I didn't do any scholarships when that's why I had $50,000 student loans.
Oh, dang.
Because I didn't know about that. And I wish I guess I knew about it, but I wasn't so keen on applying because I was like, I don't want to waste time doing this. It's a lot of effort. But then you think about like regular jobs. Say you work a job, you're getting paid $15 an hour. You make a couple thousand in couple months. You can just apply for a scholarship, take a day to work on that, and you can get tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I didn't think like that.
Yeah. Well, you have to have somebody around you that will teach you that too.
Yeah.
And so for me, I didn't go to Kamehameha schools, but they had this awesome program outside of, it was called Kamehameha Scholars, where you could, if you had interest in going to like college, you could go to that program for about 4 years. And at the end, they would give you recommendations on where to apply, how to apply there, and different financial aid, I guess, strategies. So that when I heard about that as a freshman in school, I didn't know at that time if I wanted to be pro surfer and go that route or if I wanted to go to college. But then when I hurt my knee, probably like 8 months before I would have graduated high school. So I kind of...
You made the decision easier.
Yeah, I made the decision based on my knee because I was worried that I would go into surfing and I would... First of all of my parents' resources that they worked so hard for would be gone because surfing's so expensive. And also I was just worried that every surfer's career seems about 5 to 10 years unless you're Kelly Slater. I thought that it didn't seem very sustainable. And I also thought there was this other part of my identity, like the learning aspect, that would get undeveloped. And so and then when I got in there, I was like, I feel like I won Willy Wonka's golden ticket a little bit, and it would be kind of rude if I didn't try. But I think I was 17 when I started at Stanford, and I was so nervous. It was so different from everything I knew. When you go there, it literally looks like you're going to like Hogwarts or something. Like if people are Harry Potter fans, like the campus is insanely beautiful. Everybody there seems really put together, and you hear all these things about, oh, these are the smartest kids in the country or internationally. They all came from pretty prestigious prep schools. They are typically, Stanford students tend to be like a little bit more wealthy, come from wealthy backgrounds.
A
little bit. And so then here I was like on a whole girl, Kapala High School grad.
What's up, guys? That's the tap.
Yeah. No. But I think my mom the first time my mom took me to that campus, she was like, okay, like, let's get out of the car and go look around. And I was like, no, I don't want to get out of this car. I don't want to go. I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go here. It doesn't seem like my vibe. Like, I don't know if I'm smart enough to go here. I had a lot of imposter syndrome. And that was also just because leading up to it, my high school counselors, when you get accepted to a school, you have to send them an official transcript. So I went to my high school counselors and I said, hey, I got into Stanford. Can you send them a copy of my official transcript? And they were like, you didn't get into Stanford. And I was like, what? And they were like, no one's ever got in there. You didn't get in there. So I said, I actually got in. Can you please send a transcript? And then they sat me down and they called my mom because they thought I was lying. And they thought I was like playing a trick. And if you know me, I'm like pretty genuine. So then I just had all these like weird things of that nature happen to me, where it made me feel already before I even got there like I didn't belong. So I was a little nervous. But then once I got there, they have a really, really strong Native community at Stanford. So it's kind of like whether you're Native-Hawaiian or like say you're Dene, like you're from Arizona, or you're Lakota, or you're like they had Alaska natives there too. Like they had a lot of kids that were from really small rural Native communities that went there, and you kind of just like meet them and you hui up, and they're surprisingly more like you than you would think. Like I think indigenous cultures across the nation have really similar values, like Aina-based values. And so I really quickly was like, oh, I do have a spot here. Like I do belong here. But it actually wasn't that quick. It was like when I first got there, I thought I wanted to go for aerospace engineering. That was the other thing too, where I was like, yeah, like aerospace. Well, I really liked aerospace because I liked the movement of fluids. So like, and I think that's from the ocean.
Yeah, that makes
I like
sense.
understanding how air, water, all these like viscous things, lava, how things move. And so I thought I was going to study aerospace engineering. And then I got my ass kicked, like pretty badly. I went from never having a B like in my life ever to failing, like literally failing a physics class.
So that's your story about your bad grade.
That was my... So then I was just like, and it was because I didn't know how to study. Like I didn't have any of the preparation to initially like figure out how to study at Stanford. I didn't have any guidance. I had nobody I knew that ever went there. I wasn't prepared for the rigor of the classes academically. And then as well, I was afraid to ask for help. And I was afraid to admit, like, I was like, oh, if I ask for help, people are going to know that I don't belong here.
Yeah, it's like showing weakness.
Yeah. So like, that's how I felt initially. And then I realized that like that same physics class that I failed, like, I think like 50% of the students fail that same physics class. So it's kind of like what they call like a weed out class. Like if you can't get past that bar, then kids will like switch their major out of engineering to something else because they just don't want to try and they don't want to deal with it. But I'm very stubborn and I'm very persistent. So, and I try again, even though I fail a lot of the times. And I was also like, a lot of the times when I feel that I can't overcome something, I think about my kupuna. And I think about if they were able to persist for thousands of years, make it through wars, famine, disease spread, like I can freaking do this, you know, like I can do this. And so basically what I had to do was like I had to work twice as hard in the beginning to make up for the education that I didn't have. So for about like the first year, I was just like constantly like 70 hours a week grinding, studying, and like going to extra help tutoring, going to office hours, working in peer groups. And so I developed this really good work ethic. So then by like the next 2 years, like by the next like 2.5 years, because I had established like that work ethic, when the material started to be new for people, like maybe you went to a really nice prep school and you learned computer science and you learned like advanced physics and math. When you're seeing it a second time, it's easy. But when you're seeing something for the first time, if you don't have that study ethic established, you're kind of like floundering. It's like, what do you do? So in the beginning, I'd say for the first year, I didn't do so well. But because I kept trying and I worked hard, then I started doing really well. Like
Definitely.
year 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That's a testament to show that sometimes you got to figure out how to do it wrong before you can do it right.
Exactly.
You got to fail to succeed.
Exactly. And like, just because I want people to know that like, it certainly wasn't easy to do that. And it was, it's not impossible. If you feel like you're in some space in your life where you have this crazy task that you have to do and you don't know how you'll get there, it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you keep trying. And like, it's okay to ask for help, because I think for some reason, Western culture is really like, you got to do this by yourself. You got to climb that mountain by yourself, but you can't do things of value by yourself. You need to have your community, you know, your lahui. And when you help each other, that's how things get done quickly. And it's more rewarding when everybody has a piece of that.
100%.
Yeah, that struggle and that strength with them.
Yeah, I mean, just look back to the Ahupua'a system.
Yeah,
We all work
exactly.
together.
Yeah.
You know, the fishermen help the farmers help the fishermen.
Yeah.
Not everybody did everything on their own. You know,
Yeah.
the women helped the men helped the women. It was all a collective.
It also doesn't make sense to try to do everything on your own. Like, if you're like for our kupuna, like in one day you're gonna go farm your lo'i in the uplands. You're gonna go walk down and catch fish in the lowlands, like by the kai, and you're gonna like perpetually hustle to do that every day. You cannot, you know.
And that's where the modern burnout started,
Yeah.
People trying to do that.
Yeah. And like what I will say too, like I know I said like working hard is important because it is, but you have to rest too. It's not healthy and it's not cool to be working like 70 hours a week for something that's like so unnatural. And I feel like the Western world also has this really bad value on working yourself to death, but it's just not sustainable. And kuleana is like a privilege and it's a responsibility, but it's also, it should be fun. That's the only way you're going to accomplish anything is if you're passionate about it and it's fun.
Yeah, and it seems like it's almost cool to brag about all the hard work you're doing, how little sleep you get, how much you're grinding and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't want to be doing that.
No.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes, but I'd rather be surfing. I'd rather be watching TV shows or whatever it is. But I'm at the point in my life where I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
I know that it's kind of seasonal now. It comes in waves, right? And life is awesome because like you never know what's gonna come. You know, it's like surfing would be boring if all the waves were the same. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, except no, that's actually true. I take that back
pool?
because the wave pool. I was thinking that.
Well, people have that comment. You know, they're like, oh, like once all the waves are the same, the level of talent is so high. How do you split hairs? You know.
Okay.
I would agree too. I think surfing's more interesting. I think life is more interesting with variety.
Yeah, except at the wave pool. Maybe if you like that. If you like that. Some people like routine.
I like the wave pool. Yeah. I've never been to Kelly's wave pool, but I went to Waco. I thought it was real fun. Yeah. Something different. Yeah.
I've been on a wave and I've been in a pool, but I haven't been on the wave pool.
Yeah.
So I'll work there. Maybe if I have Kelly Slater on one day, he can invite me.
That would be super cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a quick shishi break and we'll get back with the social media fan questions.
Cool.
Right on. All right. We're back from a quick shishi break. Mahalo to our drink sponsor, Shaka Tea, for always providing the best quality shishi. I also spilled on myself maybe a couple minutes ago, but I think it's all dried up now.
It's okay. I don't really see it.
Okay. I just missed my mouth completely. Also focus on the conversation this time. Almost spilled on myself again. Okay. So before we get into the social media fan questions, we were just talking off the podcast, trying to finish up our conversation we had right before we took the shishi break about Native Hawaiian. I guess you can say it.
Oh yeah, I just like quickly it was like, oh, actually for my earlier question there was a thought that I had missed where when Kamaka asked me, oh, I don't know if I see many Native Hawaiians excel in education. I think maybe, for instance, for my dad's generation, that might not have been the case because how are you supposed to overcome a rigged system? That's kind of like, you know, you're within the same. My dad was born when Hawaii was not a state yet. So in his generation, they had to like have all the trauma of losing their aina. So you have that you have to overcome. Then you have to overcome a huge change of lifestyle. When my dad went to school, he got beat for speaking Hawaiian when he was little. So he had to let that go. So it's kind of like, how are you supposed to even focus on doing well in school? It doesn't even feel like you're in a place where they want you to be there. So why would you put your imana into that space? So maybe in that generation, there weren't so many Native Hawaiians that were excelling in school. But I think now, as the future, as we've become more resilient to being overrun by this Western, I guess, like colonial society, we're now adapting and like excelling in it. And there are a lot of like excellent Native Hawaiian scientists, lawyers, doctors, engineers. And I'm grateful that I was in this generation.
Yeah.
I can kind of start to push back.
Cool a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Following our kupuna's footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Hawaiians in positions that didn't exist before, like a Native Hawaiian podcaster.
Exactly.
You know, Native Hawaiian surf scientist.
Yeah.
You know, it's all these things that we're just trailblazing. And I think that's so cool because, you know, in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, however long we're going to be alive for, up to 100 years. I don't know if even podcasting is going to be a thing by then. But, you know, there's going to be hundreds, hopefully, thousands of kids who are doing similar stuff and paving the way for new jobs and opportunities and careers.
I mean, hopefully there'll be Native Hawaiian senators, you know, like
we need that for sure.
Yeah, we do.
Our people actually
we
have
absolutely do
the Hawaiians' best interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can get into that.
Or I know, I was gonna say, or even if you don't want to participate in government at all, maybe we can have our land back.
Yeah. Okay, how about that, huh?
Yeah.
How about our land back?
How about that?
All right, so let's get into the social media fan questions. The first one comes from Lauren T23. This person wants to know, how did you make community at Stanford?
How did I make community at Stanford? I think it was primarily finding people that were of a similar background to me. So I mentioned the Native American Cultural Center. We had a program the first week of Stanford where they brought in kids from Native backgrounds all over the country to have a camp. And all that we did was basically I think we went up to the mountains in Santa Cruz and we just got to know each other really good, did team building stuff. And actually all those people are my best friends to this day.
Cool.
If I was going to see any of them, it would be no time passed. So that was my initial community that I made, that they were really my core group of supporters and friends, and we helped each other out in all spaces, whether it was emotional or academic. But then I think beyond that, it was kind of you just end up you live in a dorm with everybody all 4 years. So you're kind of working in your room, and the person living across from you will knock on the door and be like, hey, I just finished my solar car. Do you want to go take it for a drive? Or the person down the hall will put out a flyer that's hey, I'm an Olympic sailor and I'm going to go teach a camp this weekend to extend the opportunity to you guys to come sailing. Do you guys want to do that? Or even, or somebody's working on a project that's Stanford Aerospace, and they're hey, I'm going to go launch my rocket that you guys have seen me working on day and night for the last 6 weeks. Do you guys want to watch it launch? So it's kind of everybody is just in this really communal space where everybody's going through the struggles of trying to succeed in school, of trying to pursue whatever they're passionate about, and then they're just really excited to share. So it's not too hard to build community there. It's just getting over the initial fear of worrying about what people think of you, I guess, which is life in general.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely that's how I built community there. Just slowly, naturally, when you make friends with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest parts in life when you're in those early 20s, maybe right out of college too, is just trying to be true who you are, but not be embarrassed of it. Yeah. There's a lot of people who are they like something, but they don't want to tell people. Let's just say anime, for example. Yeah. There's a lot of people that like anime, but maybe they're a football player and they want to be super cool, so they don't want to tell people, and they're hanging out and maybe going to the bars and clubs, and that's not actually what they want to do. They just want to be home watching anime.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are like that, going through those developmental years. Luckily I found out what I liked really early on. I don't drink, don't smoke. I would go out with my friends and DD or whatever. And at some point in college, I was just you know what? I don't enjoy going to this club with you guys. I'm just going to stay home and hang out with your parents. Yeah. Or I'll drop you guys off and you just call me when you guys need a ride. I got to that point maybe my senior year of college, because I just feel it's just, I'm not interested in this. And even though we're friends, we don't have to have the exact same interests. But then as you get older and you realize you just got to find people who are like-minded.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and your boyfriend, so you get to surf together, doing things you like. Basically, as you become an adult, you hang out with the people who have the same interests as you. Yeah. So some of my best friends from high school and college, I rarely hang out with, just because not all of them surf, because that's what I'm interested in. So I have my surf crew now, and those are the people who are closest to me. Jordan, from the one who produces this podcast, he's one of my closest friends now because we do the podcast together. So that's pretty much what it is, and that's your little community. Yeah, it's just the people who are like-minded.
Yeah, that's your little lahui.
Yeah,
I think also too, something that Stanford taught me was you might have perceptions about somebody initially based on whatever they're studying or their background, but truthfully, when you spend time getting to know anybody, whether their opinions differ from yours greatly, I think at the core of everything, humans all want the same thing, which is safety, to be loved.
Fantasy football championship.
Exactly. All the priorities.
The main things in life.
Yeah. And I think no matter who the person is that you're speaking to, you can connect with everybody on something.
Definitely.
And that's really important, I think, to keep in mind, because today's society, I think, especially with maybe social media a bit, it can you can get isolated and you can get sheltered in like one school of thought. And then it's hard for people to even try to have really hard conversations that are going to make the world a better place. So like trying to lead with an open mind is important too.
100%.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you would see people fighting on social media, or even like Democrat. Yeah, keyboard warriors, Democrat, Republican.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if you guys just had a conversation, a civil conversation, or just hung out, you probably have a lot more in common than you think.
Yeah.
But it's just that one thing that's causing
that
friction.
You. Yeah.
It happens. That's why you just got to have an open mind. But yeah, that's a great answer. Next question comes from Mia Tay. This person says, Aloha, anything specific you're looking to accomplish in marine bio?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking. So I am really interested in coral reef ecology and studying how coral reef, the way that it grows, the way the size, the structure affects wave energy. So even though it sounds cheesy, I'm basically nerding out on surfing and trying to, I guess, like observe or like run calculations on, I guess, storm events is what I would say. So I'm really interested, especially because we see so many impacts of global warming, and that was what my undergrad was studying climate science basically, and trying to model like future predictions of what the world's climate might look like if we keep polluting. And so then one of the biggest impacts of that is like sea level rise and also loss of biodiversity of coral reefs. So right now, what I hope to study, there's something called bottom surface coefficients, and how do I explain this? Like, there are these things that are mathematically derived coefficients that when you put them into different computer models, it will predict if a storm is going to flood somewhere, if it's going to destroy a coastline, or if it's going to potentially lead to something that could bleach a coral reef.
Wow.
And right now they're really poorly understood because it's really hard to study things underwater of that nature, because it's like, how are you going to kilo the kai when it moves in all directions and like through all kinds of pukas and all the koa, like it's difficult to model. But what I hope to do by the end of my PhD is to have pretty accurate, semi-accurate coefficients for all kinds of different koa, different species of coral, so that when people are trying to run climate models, they can have better answers to protect their communities. And Cliff's wife, Hanani, does similar work to that, but it's more of like trying to understand what coral reef systems looked like in the past to predict the future.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of the people who want to look to the stars, like on TMT and study space. You want to go down below and study the ocean.
That's part of the reason why I really didn't like aerospace engineering in the beginning as well, was because I was like, if people put all the resources, money, and human effort into solving our climate crisis, we would be fine. Like, humanity wouldn't have to worry, but instead, like, people want to pour money into leaving the only inhabitable planet that we can physically get to by any means, like whether it's destroying or polluting. I just doesn't make sense to me. And that was something I wanted to correct from Surf Girls too, because I told them the whole story, but then they cut it to saying like, oh, I got a degree in aerospace engineering because it seemed impressive. So I wanted to, my degree is in atmosphere and energy engineering.
Oh, okay.
Not aerospace.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're a liar. And
I was made to be a liar without consultation.
That's what you're saying, that we need to cancel Maluhia Kinimaka. You guys heard it here first on the podcast.
Canceled.
Canceled. No, okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice in that. When they published it, I was like, that's not what I said. And I think there are a couple other instances with other girls in the show where they're like, that's not what I said. You kind of, so.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
Sometimes not good magic.
Yeah.
But it did make you seem more impressive.
It did.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see what you do with that. And, I know you're working with Cliff and his fiance, wife, whatever. And he's an awesome person, so you're in good hands.
I also work with, I work mostly as well in a lab space in Kaneohe at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology on Mokolo'e. And so it's also kind of similar to Stanford, where there's not a lot of Native Hawaiian representation there, and it's uncomfortable sometimes. So I have to work a lot on trying to make sure that the tools are being used for the right reason when we do science. Like I don't want to collect data that's not going to go to bettering the community. I don't want to work on projects that aren't going to be impactful or beneficial to the people of Hawaii. And I don't want to like fiddle with our resources. Like sometimes Hawaiians or Western science, like I think it glosses over, like, how do I say this? Like sometimes Western science like micro fixates on things, where sometimes they think like all these discoveries that they're making are really of consequence when they're so specific. They probably only help like 0.001% of the world. And so like I think Kanaka, like Kilo, like Kanaka science is really like focus on the Ahupua'a system, focus on that system as a whole. And so trying to like bring those ideas into that space sometimes is like feels a little uncomfortable, but you just kind of gotta send it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just got pushed through. Yeah.
So that's also another goal in marine biology, is to like integrate elements of like, for instance, we have the Kumulipo, like integrate Hawaiian science and verify Hawaiian science with Western science. That's another one of my goals. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I know it's not gonna be easy, but you got the determination.
I have good teachers.
Yeah.
I have really good kumu.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next question comes from _Chandler Juliet. This person wants to know, how do you manage life between being an engineer and professional surfer?
I think it's just now setting really good boundaries with myself, where I could just keep working and working and working, but trying to make sure that I rest when I need to rest, trying to make sure that I'm doing things that I'm really passionate about, working on projects that I'm passionate about. That's the only way you can like sustain, I guess, interest in doing a really good job in things. So it kind of like, even though it seems like a lot, it's all things I enjoy doing, which is very much a privilege, because some people don't get that opportunity. They have to like work really hard at something they might not love to support their ohana or whatever it is. But yeah, I just try to balance it by doing projects that I feel in my now are aligned with me, and allowing myself time to rest and time to say no and time to like hermit out and watch Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
If I want to.
Oh, so you're big LOTR.
Probably more so Harry Potter, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, any of the things like that.
Yeah.
That's why me and Sam are friends.
Oh, okay. Sam, and she watched Avatar and The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra.
And
So she's
Naruto,
cool.
my boyfriend loves Naruto.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah,
Is he into other anime too?
a lot, but I don't know what they're called.
Oh, okay.
He's way more nerdy than me.
Yeah, some of my siblings, they watch anime. My brother's been watching Naruto or reading Naruto and One Piece and all that for a while. I didn't get into it, but recently I've been trying to get into one called Jujutsu Kaisen. So
I think I've seen
I'm
that
like
one.
on episode 6 or 7 or something like that. Yeah, so I'm getting there. But I grew up watching like Dragon Ball Z and all those awesome cartoons.
I actually, weirdly, I think I grew up watching like SpongeBob the most. But then I also, like, my parents they weren't super big on us watching a lot of TV. So we spent a lot of time outside, a lot of time surfing, a lot of time with my family. I think when I was younger too, my mom and dad had me dance hula for a while. And then I got so busy with school and with surfing that I had to stop that. And then I went back for COVID, and it's actually really awesome. I wish I had more time.
That's how you make your kids hammers. You just you make sure they just play outside.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You just love them unconditionally, and you let them play outside a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, next question comes from Makavalu_media.
Oh, I know. This is Haylin.
Oh, okay.
This is Olena. Her name is Olena.
Or Olena.
Yeah.
Olena says, who/what in your life has empowered you in your cultural identity besides surfing?
She wants me to say she did. LOL. No.
No, I'm going to cut that and it's going to sound like she empowers you.
Yeah. No, she does. I definitely think... So the question is
who/what in your life has empowered you in your cultural identity besides surfing?
Yeah, she's one of my hula sisters. So I definitely think hula. Hula has definitely empowered me. Two of my aunties are hula kumu. One of them, my auntie Keala, passed now, but she was a big influence in Hawaiian culture as well. They were really, really, really strong in Olelo Hawaii. And so like, I think she had been one of like the matriarchs of our family that inspired us to be close. And I think as well, there's like a lahui on Kauai of kids that are about my age that are probably anywhere from like 25 to like 32. And they all do aloha aina work. So working in those spaces with them and really like just the aina itself has been such a big source of my identity as a Hawaiian person because I truly like doing that work makes me feel just as happy as surfing, just as happy as like doing some big accomplishment, like really simple things like stem from your relationship with the aina that bring a lot of fulfillment. And your relationship that you make with people who love doing similar work, like Olena, has been a lot of source of I guess my cultural identity outside of surfing. Even more so, I think, than surfing sometimes. Not the actual act of it and the connection, but like the surf industry, I wouldn't say is particularly Kanaka based. So yeah, definitely being an aina, definitely hula. Definitely learning like mele when I was little, like just all kinds of different like May Day stuff. And definitely being in spaces where it's so void of Kanaka culture, like Stanford, different lab spaces, where that's how you know, like, okay, I have to like bring that part. I have to channel my kupuna here now with me because I feel so lonely in that space. But then you like remember, oh, I'm never actually lonely. They're there with me. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
That great answer. But that leads me into my next question coming from _Inoa_guy_.
Name guy?
Yeah.
Inoa guy.
With three underscores. I feel like the last underscore was just unnecessary, guy. How do you stay feeling connected to home when you travel?
When I travel? Gosh, I really feel like it's when I travel for surfing with Moana a lot. Or also like when you're traveling for surfing, Pua is there and Eve is there. Traveling with people that are also Kanaka makes it really easy because you can make your own little community wherever it is because, you know, community is like in here and in here. And that persists, like, for instance, like on the Va'a, all our kupuna were voyagers. Like they were some of the most amazing seafaring people, water people ever. And wherever they went, they brought community with them. So I think about that a lot. As well as like when I was at Stanford and I was feeling it was really void of Kanaka culture. That's when I got like my Nalani Hiku. So I could remember always like, and like the commitment and never forget. That's another way. And also just, it's not really even just trying to do anything but be yourself. Like, and just being yourself is like just being Kanaka. And it's, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, bringing community with you. I feel like I tried to do that when I joined the Peace Corps and I lived in Madagascar for 3 years.
Whoa, you were in the Peace Corps, bro?
Yeah, I was in the Peace Corps.
No way.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, I lived in Madagascar for 3 years.
No way. What were you working on?
I taught English for the first 2 years and then I extended and worked with a community health organization doing the communication and stuff.
That's so cool.
Straight in the boonies, getting water from a well.
Madagascar is like...
Yeah, it's beautiful there though.
Yeah.
But yeah, very poor.
Very poor.
They ate a lot of rice. I got this in Madagascar right before I left. It's a rice stalk because rice is life over there, and then it has ohana in front of it. So ohana is the most important thing. And then the island of Madagascar is the okina because everybody always forgets the okina and ohana. Yeah. And everybody doesn't know Madagascar is a real place. And then 8 rice stalks for the 8 Hawaiian islands.
Wow, that's awesome.
6 letters, me and my 5 siblings.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, 5 siblings.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
way to stay connected to both cultures.
Dang, I want to do an interview with you now. The Peace Corps is no joke.
Yeah, it's the toughest job you'll ever love.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so, that's why like there are so many people doing so many incredible things, just living life, doing these amazing things. And it feels weird to have a platform where people like give you a lot of praise for doing stuff because everybody's doing that. And I wish you could extend that to everybody. But yeah, the Peace Corps is like, you might get shipped anywhere randomly and the living accommodations might be absolutely crazy. More often than not, I think they're really, really rural.
Yeah.
And you might not know their language and it's just crazy.
We had to learn Malagasy, so I learned Malagasy.
Can you still speak Malagasy?
Any.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah, it's cool because something I didn't know before I went there is that Malagasy and Hawaiian is in the same Austronesian family.
Whoa.
So they have similar words.
No way.
And structure and everything. So it's same as like Maori, Samoan, Tahitian. Yeah, very similar.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think there's a reel where I mentioned some of the similarities.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's super cool. So I felt at home over there.
Yeah.
Just because of the culture and all that stuff. Yeah. I loved it.
That's amazing.
If you ever want to join the Peace Corps, let me know.
I think I'm probably too delicate for the Peace Corps, if I'm being honest. I can ramble, but shucks, that's hard rambling.
It's different. There are some places, so they say there's Posh Corps, which is like Morocco and maybe Eastern Europe. So you might have nicer living conditions. You might be in an apartment with running water, Wi-Fi. And then there's Peace Corps, which is like some places in South America and other places like that. And then there's Africa. That's like the hard one. It's so Madagascar is in Africa, so it's one of the hardship posts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's so transformative. Best experience of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, next question comes from Abby McKay with 3 Y's. McKay. How will you use your current research to perpetuate Hawaiian culture?
I kind of answered that, but then I guess like in a concise way. Having those coefficients or even just like studying overall coral reef health, there's a big buzz right now about coral restoration. So it's getting a lot of attention and a lot of funding because of global warming. And a lot of things like Western science tries to do is provide Band-Aid fixes for things that are not fixable with one solution to, I don't know what, either just make people not scared, or maybe it's like an American thing, like, like take this pill and it'll heal everything. Like all these Band-Aid fixes
Sick care over preventative care.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's just like trying to fix something without putting any work in, I think is not a real concept in any circumstance. But basically, a lot of people are just trying to blindly restore coral in all these different ways that might actually be more damaging to the ko'a than it is helpful. So like one of the main things that I'd like to do is like our kupuna, and I'm still learning a lot about this as well. They knew that ko'a was really special. I think it's the first organism that's mentioned in the Kumulipo. That's like a physical thing.
Cool.
Like hanau ka'uku ko'a. And they also knew that ko'a was both a singular entity, like the polyp, and a whole colony, like the ko'a, like in like na ko'a. And so I think like Hawaiian science had 2,000 years of collective ike that they developed specifically about this place that modern science either doesn't know how to access or like previously disregarded as real science. And so like what I would like to do in science is bring that ike, like it's not even my ike, it's kupuna's ike, but like bring it forward and then combine that with Western technology to actually propose things that would be like a solution, not a Band-Aid fix, but like a whole, like a transformative lahui fix where everybody understands like the problem and what their kuleana is in that problem, so that we can actually like persist and make Hawaii better I guess is what I'd like to do.
I love that. Look
Yeah.
back so we can move forward.
Yeah, because it's like our kupuna were here for like 1,600 to 2,000 years.
They're the greatest researchers. They did all the work.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And they also lived sustainably here for like almost 2,000 years. So I think the first like Captain Cook came in like, was it 1778 or something? It's been like 250 years. And like, look at how much our aina has changed because what we're doing here is not sustainable. So kind of like fusing those two spheres together and like, we know how to survive here, to sustain ourselves here. We just have to shift our thinking and shift our habits back to a way that is sustainable.
Yeah, kako'o. Yes,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree. Love it. Next question comes from Lay_Lani_Simmons94. I don't know why people need so many underscores in their usernames.
Probably because there's a lot of people in the world.
Really? Really? I don't think there's a _Inoa_guy_.
Yeah, I think that one was...
That was excessive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was... Well, yeah. It's okay. Be silly.
Yeah,
You can be.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just being judgmental.
No.
This person, Lay_Lani_Simmons94 wants to know, when you first started surfing, were you afraid of sharks?
No. I was never... I think it was my dad really early on, like, was like, okay, if you're going to be in the kai, you have to accept that this is not your space anymore. You're now at the mercy of the kai, and like your mana, whatever your mana is going to be matched there and like surpassed. So kind of like when I first started surfing, like with anything, you start out like really small and you build your mana and you build your abilities there. My dad always just was like, oh, like niuhi, mana were just part of that space. And that's just like one of the things that you had to like respect about the ocean. So I wasn't originally like, I never really worried too much about them, but there were a couple times when I was surfing on Kaua'i at different spots I don't want to say because you cannot say.
Yeah.
But I did see like big sharks a couple times chasing monk seal, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty scary. But I think for the most part, mano don't want to mess with you. Like just like you kind of want to avoid them, like a predator. You would want to avoid a predator, like they want to avoid you. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. They're always there.
Yeah.
And you're in their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little different when you go to like Northern California or New Zealand where they have great white sharks. Those ones are a little bit more scary for
Even
sure.
South Africa, right? You got some crazy stuff.
They got some crazy sharks.
Yeah.
The cold water sharks definitely are in the back of my mind all the time.
Yeah. That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Okay, last question comes from someone you might know, Moana.17.
Holy hama.
She wants to know, are you ready to charge pipe/backdoor this winter?
Yes, that's my only goal this winter. She knows that too.
Okay.
Because she was actually a huge support mentally, physically, like just all of it through my knee injury. And she like is just, how would I describe? Like she is like the fiery, like don't think, just do it, just send it, that I exactly need. And we went to go surf Te Aupo'o together, and it was kind of like the first time testing back on my knee and like bigger, scarier surf. It's also my backside, so it was kind of gnarly. But she was just like such an awesome presence there, like pushing me to try. And I think I still felt a little hesitant there, but I think as time goes by and I get stronger, like she'll always be my number one surfing buddy. And she just inspires me on the daily, like so badass.
You saw the post you just posted, yeah, that barrel?
Yeah, that was Te Aupo'o, I think.
Oh, that was?
Yeah, I think, wait, are you talking about... She posted one of Eukai and Te Aupo'o.
Okay, it was a recent one. Another profile shared it too. It might have been an old one.
I don't know. She has so many.
Yeah, but it was just a sick barrel.
So many.
It was a sick barrel. I don't know where it was. I didn't read that thing, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
Real quick. Te Aupo'o. I've always been confused about that because I hear people say chopes. Why? How did it end up? why is it chopes and when it's spelled Tahupo?
Truthfully, I don't know. And I'm also not Tahitian, so I think you would probably have to ask like Matahi or Hinatea or somebody that is from there. Maybe Lorenzo.
Isn't the Kind's husband from Tahiti?
Which one?
Moana's?
Oh, Tehotu.
Tehotu, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he would know too. I say Teopo'o because I think that's just how I would read it and if it was Hawaiian.
Exactly.
I've heard Tahitians say it like Teopo too, like where it's like one fluid.
So maybe people thought it was like chopu, teupo.
I think truthfully sometimes like Western cultures just they cannot like they feel silly trying, so then they abbreviate it. I don't know how it became chopes.
Okay.
But I have heard like Matahi or people from there say chopes before.
Okay.
As like a casual way of referencing it. So I don't know. I'm not Tahitian, so I feel like I can't say.
Okay.
Or
yeah,
you could ask
Vahine
Vahine too.
You know.
Vahine Fierro.
Okay. I've never met her, but that's the first thing I'm going to do when I meet her. Hey, you don't know me, but what is this?
I think the WSL actually put out a funny segment that was like at the contest having different people pronounce Teopo'o.
That's a good one.
And it was just across the board, all different.
That's funny.
So maybe nobody knows.
Yeah. When is the next surf competition?
There is one that's called the Supergirl. I think that's either this weekend or next weekend.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that one. I'm still going to let my knee heal.
Okay.
But then their next contest is I think it's probably Sunset Beach, which is probably in November.
Okay. And when is Pipe?
That's usually in December.
Oh, okay.
But the Pipe contest is run by an entity, or it's called Stab Magazine. You probably see it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's Stab and Vans, the brand. And so that's an invite-only contest. I got invited last year, and that was the contest I was most excited about. And then I hurt my knee, and I couldn't do it. So hopefully I'll get an invite again this year, but we'll see.
Just tell them you're friends with Pua. She's sponsored by Van. Hop in the van.
Oh, my gosh. They actually did a really cool thing where they made it, I think half their entrance last year had to be Kanaka Maoli. Or from the North Shore of Oahu if there wasn't enough representatives who are Kanaka Maoli to fill 50%. So hopefully they'll do that again because I've never seen that in a contest before ever. But I think it's becoming the new standard to like go to a space and then invite indigenous people in that space to have first priority.
Cool.
I think it's fair.
I wanna go in person. I've never seen big waves in person. I've never been to one of those competitions. I've only been to one, and that was the bowls competition a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that, I don't know who the girl who won, but Moana and Pua were in the finals.
Keala. Yeah, Keala Tomoda, I think won. And then I think Moana got second, and Eve got third. Yeah.
And the guy was Zeke's friend.
Zeke has many friends.
He's like one of his best friends. Like the surfer. Why can't I think of his name? We all know him.
I'm tweaking. Is it bad? I didn't pay attention to the
his best surfing friend.
I don't know. I thought Zeke was like a lone wolf.
he is though. What's his name? He's a coach for. I think he coaches Eve or somebody.
I don't know if Eve's coach might be Bots.
Okay, maybe I think somebody else. Oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. He's dating the fighter.
Wait, what?
Curran.
Keanu Asing. Keanu Asing.
Sorry, Keanu, if you're listening to this.
No. I was bad there too because I didn't pay attention to the men. Sorry.
No, yeah. So he won that one, and then so that was the only surf competition I've ever been to, and that was because I wanted to watch it before Moana came on.
Yeah.
And just so I can understand, because I can imagine how frustrating it is being a surfer, and like if there's no waves, then you can't really do anything.
Yeah, surfing is it's both strategic and it's athletic, and it's also endurance.
Yeah.
It's like playing water chess.
Yeah, really, water chess. Yeah, so anyways, I've never seen like the big waves out on North Shore, so I want to go do that. So whenever the next big one is, or like Pipe or one of those ones, I want to go check it out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And Huka is really beautiful to watch if you've never seen it. Huge too, because it's like one of the only waves that breaks like how it does, like a giant barrel, really close to shore. Usually waves like that are on like fringing reef, so really far out. But that one you can be on shore, and there's like a 10-footer like 20 feet
Oh,
out from you, and
crazy.
you're like, whoa,
Okay.
pretty crazy. It's worth watching. It's like
Okay.
the full mana of the ocean just unloading on you. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. Just gotta find parking there. Gets crazy out of
Yeah.
traffic over there.
Well, you can park behind Moana in her spot for sure.
Okay.
She would probably
text
let
her.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where all the Hamas park.
Yeah.
By the Volcom House.
All right. Well, mahalo everybody for the social media fan questions. Make sure you leave some for our next guest, and maybe your question will make it on the podcast. So we're coming to the back end of the podcast, and I like to ask all of my guests when they come on about aloha and the meaning of keeping it aloha, and how in your life do you keep it aloha?
I was always taught, I think my aunties taught me aloha is like the more literal translation, like alo, your face, and ha, like life breath. So I always thought about it like if you're going to interact with anything in life, whether it's like ko'a, kai, another human, you're going to share your ha with that thing. So like face to face, have an interaction. So you always want to treat it respectfully, because why waste your energy if you're why impart bad energy to somebody, bad mana, if you're not gonna respect that. And so I always learned it was like a very unconditional thing, to share aloha and just to like let that emanate out of you. And I think it can give you, if you can do it, it's like almost really hard to do. It's hard to be really nice and kind and genuine to everybody all the time, but it's also can be like it leaves you with a certain lightness, I think, to live your life with like genuine love and care for things. So I kind of just try to integrate that into myself by being like as patient as I can. Even if somebody's not showing me aloha back, I try to be as kind and try to remember it's probably them and not me.
Yeah.
I try to have an open mind with things, and I try to always think about like the consequence of my actions. If I impart bad mana into this space, how is that going to affect everything around me? If I damage this part of like say I go on a hike, I leave a pala, I'm damaging, like what is that going to do to the aina around me? Just in that sense, trying to just be kind.
Yeah.
For kindness sake.
Yeah, for kindness sake.
Yeah.
I think the beautiful thing about our culture is that we're always thinking of others.
Yeah.
We're always thinking of the consequences of our actions onto others.
Yeah.
From the land, leaving rubbish on the ground, like how is that going to affect the land, or maybe even the people who are stewarding it? They have to go pick that up, you know?
Exactly.
So it's always this communal mindset that we have.
Yeah.
Is how are we going to help out our lahui instead of just make it take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even when you go to other places too, if you have the same mentality of like, I'm just going to go to this space, acknowledge that I'm not from this space, but try to show a willingness to participate and be a good guest. That's also showing aloha, and it's also received really well wherever you go, because I've been really privileged to go a lot of places, and people almost always respond with equal kindness.
Yeah. I think not being afraid to ask is such a strength.
Yes, and also not being ashamed to. But you gotta, otherwise you just end up struggling like lonely kind, and that's not that cool.
I don't know is a perfectly fine answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially when you go to places, or if you're learning a language, for example.
Yeah, I know.
Saying, I don't know, or can you slow down, can you repeat that? It's totally fine. Because we were talking before the podcast about, I was asking how your Hawaiian language class is.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to respond because I'm shy.
I'm shy. Yeah, I know. I gotta not.
But that happens anytime you learn a language. That's the thing that holds you back, because on the other side of that is growth.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get to that point because, it's embarrassing when you think you know something, or you're starting off and you're talking like you're a kindergartner, but you're 20-something, 30-something, or 40-something year old adult, and you sound like a kindergartner to them. But
Yeah.
that's how it is in all languages. Like when I learned Spanish or Malagasy, when I'm talking to somebody, I probably sound like a little kid, just trying to say small words, or even in Hawaiian, o vai ko inoa,
Yeah.
but you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is hard. Like, I get you. I know, because so I learned Spanish in college, and I still remember a lot, but anytime I'm around Spanish speakers, I get nervous.
Yeah.
And I want to practice Spanish so bad, but then I always stop myself because I don't want to say something and they think that I speak, and then I can't
And then you
respond
just can't.
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but
On the flip side too, I think about that sometimes. I've had living in Hawaii, we have so many tourists that come here. And the number of times somebody has come here from a different country and asked me in like really elementary English how to get something, I'm never mean to them. I'm never like, don't touch
you don't know how to speak English.
Yeah. I never shame them. I'm always like, oh, yeah. And I like very simply respond that they can understand. Yeah. So why would I assume that somebody's going to be mean to me for
That's
not getting it perfect?
Point.
Yeah.
Such a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Because usually when you hear people that speak like broken English, usually we have the tendency to be like, oh, they don't know how to speak English, or kind of judge them. But then they're speaking another language, and most people don't even speak another language.
Yeah.
Right? So that's actually more impressive than anything.
Yeah. I can't give people fault for trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Anytime somebody, we become a bit more gentle than judgmental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha, exactly.
Yeah.
Keep it aloha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Growing up, did you ever have any struggles with your identity as a Native Hawaiian?
Did I have struggles?
I mean, you come from such a strong, prominent
bus.
family.
I don't know.
Pressures to like live up to your last name.
No, I don't think so. My family was more just like whatever you're enjoying, whatever makes you the happiest, like just try to go for that. And like just try to be yourself. And like if anything, my family was really like just try to like uphold yourself to the standards of really showing aloha to everybody. Because I think my dad, maybe a lot of people in his generation too, went through a period of like a lot of anger at all their culture being taken away and their spaces being sold, and they didn't know how to express it. And so when you can't express how you feel, that's when you get angry, and that's when you get in fights and you do silly things like that. And it caused him a lot of pain for a long time. So I think for us, he didn't want us to develop that anger, that confusion. So he was always just like, whatever you want to do, just do that, but be a good person. Have aloha, like carry our family with you when you do it in a graceful way. And so, yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
You just had, you've always been sure in who you were and what you wanted to do.
Not in what I wanted to do. I always knew that I was like a little bit nerdy, and that I was pretty good at school, a little bit bad at socializing.
Intro nerd. You've probably heard that one before.
Intro nerd. And I always knew that I was Hawaiian. It's like, I think also just because I look physically also very Hawaiian, it doesn't, the way human brains work, they just like to sort things. And so physically I look like that, and inside I feel like that. So it kind of, that was a privilege also. Because I know, like, I have some cousins who are adopted that are, like, very, like, they even can speak the language. They can speak Aloha Hawaii, like, really good, but they don't look Hawaiian. And so I think they struggle a lot with the identity.
It's a common one.
Yeah.
Not looking Hawaiian.
Yeah, that's so lame, too. It's like, just blood quantum in general is such a lame way of categorizing if somebody is, how much ike they have.
I know so many people who aren't even Hawaiian that have so much ike.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So then it just comes down to your core values and your character.
Yeah, I think
more
so.
than anything else.
Yeah. I definitely, like, when I was like 23, like after college, I think I went through a weird period of, I had to deprogram myself from like Stanford. I think anybody who goes through that can like resonate that they go through a bit of like PTSD from doing so much and feeling like there's so much kuleana on your shoulders and feeling like everyone around you is accomplishing amazing things, that when you graduate and you're like, okay, now I'm free from school and structure, what am I going to do with myself? It's a little bit confusing. But then really that's like when your core values just kick in. Mm-hmm. And it took me like a year or two to try to figure myself out. But I feel like my being Kanaka has held me pretty steady through everything.
Keeps you grounded.
Yeah. Never
Awesome.
felt too lost. Yeah.
That's great. I love to hear it. Because like you said, it is a privilege to have that sense of security in yourself and your culture. Because so many people struggle with that. I mean, even me, I'm like, I got that language, but I don't look the most fine. When I go to California or New York, wherever, people start speaking Spanish to me, they think I'm Mexican.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Especially if I have a
people see
little
me too in
peach fuzz.
Yeah, people see me in California too, and they ask me if I'm like Puerto Rican or Latina. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you ever get Native American when you were over there?
No, mostly just, because I was only in California, that's why.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe if I was like in Arizona or places where there's a lot of Native people of a different culture. Yeah.
Wait, what year were you at Stanford?
I graduated high school in 2014, so I was there from 2014 to 2018.
Was Christian McCaffrey there when you were there?
He was there. Nice. Yeah. He lived in the same, when you go to Stanford, they put you in different dorms.
Yeah.
So I went into a dorm that was called Eucalypto. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a common dining hall that you share. And then he was in a dorm called Ujima. So like he was in the adjacent dorm from me. Mm-hmm. And he would like eat. He's really nice. He's really smart. He's really nice.
Oh, super smart.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, that's so cool. He's a football player, if you guys didn't guess by now. I had him on my fantasy team last year. I had a sticker of him on my laptop, whatever.
Yeah. I would say he's as nice and awesome as a human as he is on social media or whatever platform he's in.
I just see him playing football. I have seen him on social media before, but yeah, just random fanboy question. Let's move on. So what are your plans for the next 5, 10, 20 years? What do you hope to be doing?
In the next 5 years, I would say for surfing or just life in general?
Both?
I think, so in the next 5 years for surfing, my goals definitely are, I think, transition more to free surfing and creating projects that similar to Surf Girls that are showcasing like new Native Hawaiian women that are coming up, and also like maybe in Tahiti, maybe in Brazil. I don't know. I think that would be cool to go to different spaces and see how surfing connects different cultures. I think in the next 5 years for education-wise, definitely kind of wrapping up my PhD. In the next 10 years, I really want to go back to Kaua'i and create, I guess it's not a lab space because I don't want it to just be blocked off to scientists and like university level research, but I want to make a space that's focused in marine biology so that kids from Kaua'i can know that there's a place where they can, or know that there's opportunities to work in science or some kind of like stewardship based, or like some in INA based work that can actually give them a very nice living, both financially and spiritually. Because like I think a lot of kids from Anahola would be so over going to like 9 to 5 engineering office job.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I want to, and also KCC is awesome on Kaua'i, but I think when the last I checked, you could only get an AA there.
Okay.
So opening up an educational space that allows people from Kaua'i to have more accessibility to higher education. There's a lot of really educated people on Kaua'i already, like Mehana Vaughn. I think she went to like Stanford. Anne Brown, like she's crazy accomplished. Auntie Lei Wan, she runs Limahuli Gardens. There's Kavika Winters, he's a PhD from Kaua'i, but I think he just got on the board, like an environmental advisory board for President Biden.
Wow.
Yeah, so there are some Hamas from Kaua'i.
Yeah.
But not really like a collective space for people to come in.
You can provide that for people.
Maybe. Yeah. I'd like to kind of establish maybe like a coral nursery there.
Like coral gardeners, you seen that one?
Yeah, I have seen them. They
so good.
I haven't met them in real life, but they do some incredible work there. And it's all a lot of scientists they don't hate on coral gardeners, but they try to say like, oh, they're not based in science and real science. They're not valid. But I think what they have done really well is community engagement, where they have people who maybe weren't even considering the health of the koa, like suddenly like, oh, what are you guys doing? That looks awesome. Can I do that? And like, I kind of want to maybe make a space in Kauai that combines like that energy with also the hard science. Kind of like Cliff and Haunani are kind of doing that in Hilo with another professor called John Burns. But like the only reason I'm sitting here doing the stuff I'm doing is because of them. So like opening up more space for people after me to do that too. I think in 10 years.
Are you going to be the second surf scientist?
I guess Cliff would be the first, yeah.
The first
female. Yeah, first female one. Haunani is actually a very good longboarder as well.
I surfed with her once at Bayfront.
Yeah, she used to be on the longboarding,
really?
The ASP World Tour, I think, for longboarding.
Yeah.
So she's actually maybe the first, but she just didn't get the acknowledgement she should have for that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's actually, that I think about it, that's where I met Pua and the DeSoto family.
With Haunani?
No, at Bayfront. I think Haunani was there surfing too.
Oh, yeah.
But I think my friend knew her because he knows Cliff. So I remember them talking, but then Pua and her family was there for something in Hilo. And I was out at Bayfront surfing and I just randomly met them. And that's how I first met them. And then like a couple months later, Pua came on the podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so super random.
That's amazing. I know Haunani is actually, she's like a living encyclopedia
really?
of Ike, both like Hawaiian and Western. She's also a badass navigator. She sailed the Hokulea like all over the place. She's so incredibly accomplished and deserves like all the praise and all the attention because she's so smart.
Yeah, where's she from?
She grew up, I think, in either Kailua or Kaneohe.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in Ko'olaupoko. And then Cliff is from Hilo. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a power couple right there. Yeah.
For reals. For reals kind.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to settle back on Kauai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Kauai.
Yeah. So she's just been on Oahu for what, like a month, maybe 2 months?
Like 2 months.
2 months. Yeah. So she's new to the Oahu life, the city life.
I'm a little bit of a bumpkin.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a bumpkin. I just, the city, sometimes I'm not used to it, like the traffic. So I get a little overwhelmed sometimes.
Oh yeah, the traffic sucks.
But no, there's actually, I would say there's so many beautiful spaces of Aina on Oahu as well. Like in Kaneohe, I think is so beautiful. That's also such a, like, Kauai doesn't have any kind of like really big fringing reefs or protected bays, but that space is like, I can see why our kupuna said Hina like rose there from one of the pu'u, because it's like goddess of the moon, all the koa is there, like, and it's the only place like that in the Pai'aina. So yeah,
Super
definitely
cool.
Yeah, getting adjusted to things, but it's not too different.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still a lot of community here. So
and you know a lot of people here already, right?
Yeah. Like Moana, I've known Moana forever since we were little.
Except she's far.
Yeah, she's far. Nah, she's not. I'm like someone who's like fine with driving.
Oh, what?
Like rambling.
I don't like my 15-minute commute to F45 in the morning.
Oh, really? No, yeah.
Well, it's actually like 30 or 40 minutes now with the traffic at UH.
Yeah, I know. I think I noticed that because when I was going to the lab space before school started, it only took me like 20 minutes. And suddenly it's like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, what?
Yep.
What happened?
Yeah, because we're coming from the same road.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the worst.
I go through Waimanalo.
What?
Most of the time.
You go the other way.
I go the other way because, if I don't have to be deadlocked in like 4 lanes of traffic and it feels like I'm moving, even though I'm going slower. And Kauai only has 1 lane one way and 1 lane the other way. So it feels like, it feels like I'm at home a little bit.
Yeah. That's
all
cool.
the pali there and like feels like Kauai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice you'd like to give to some keiki coming up, maybe even female surfers, female entrepreneurs, female scholars that are, just wondering how they can get to where you're at these days, in the sense of, the accomplishment coming from a small town, having great education, and now, working on your PhD? I
would say, just whatever you're really passionate about, like follow that, even if you feel like, oh, I might not make money, I might not be able to sustain myself now with my passions, or maybe people don't understand why I'm doing it. Like whatever you're passionate about, that is what you're going to be able to put the work into, because a lot of the times, to not to glorify like crazy work culture, but it does take a fair bit of trying and trying and trying and trying to get to the place that you want to be. So I would say like making sure you take care of yourself, making sure you have a strong community, and making sure that you know what your goals are, and not being ashamed to ask people for help to get there is the biggest key to trying to be successful, or whatever people perceive as success. Yeah.
How do you get past the doubts and the haters? And
oh gosh, well, you just have to, you gotta fail. Like maybe you try and you don't even fail, and you're like, yes, I'm a hammer. Like I hope that's your route. But if you try and you fail, when you try again and you succeed, then you know beyond the shadow of a doubt, like I belong here, I can do this, and I might be better at this because of my perspective than anybody else is. Mm-hmm. That's when you know, and that confidence can never be taken away from you. So as you gain more confidence, you're more willing to try harder and harder things. So awesome. Just keep trying.
What she said.
Just give them.
Yeah.
even if you're not sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So what is something you wish people knew about you that they don't? Maybe something people misunderstand about you. You just like people to know.
I don't know. I don't know what people misunderstand about me. I'm actually super nerdy. I think that's pretty apparent already, actually. I might not even have to say that.
I feel like I can tell by the way you just say that.
Yeah.
Because you emphasize the nerdiness when you say, I'm super nerdy.
No, I think like people maybe like they think, or I think a lot of people perceive me as like very powerful and fierce and like slay, you know what I mean? But I'm actually quite mellow, and I have really strong core values, but that doesn't mean that somebody can't introduce something to me that makes me like, oh, maybe I should have considered something, you know, like I think I very much sit in my name, like Maluhia. I'm very peaceful, and I love just like gentleness. I love sitting.
Fulfillment.
Yeah, I love like sitting quietly in the kai. I love like farming. I love like small restorative things that make places better. Like, yeah.
That brings peace.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds like you gotta join the Maluhia Corps then. Yeah, the Peace Corps.
Oh my gosh, no.
Your name says that you have to. You know, you can join as a couple too.
Oh.
So I hope Benji's ready to join.
Good God.
Yeah.
I don't know if Benji would do that.
I'm going to message him and recruit him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would do that. Peace Corps is not peaceful. It can be, but it can be very like, or like I went to Papua New Guinea only for 2 weeks, but I was like, to see that how people can live, the different realities that people live in as a human being is crazy.
Yeah.
Things I never even, little privileges as a woman in a first world country that I never even knew I possessed, I was suddenly so aware of and like semi-guilty for. So really it's just like we're all very blessed to be living in this life where like maybe my biggest issue for a while was just my knee being hurt. The fact I had the ability and like wealth to go to a doctor and fix it versus like I met a woman in Papua New Guinea who like had to have part of her leg amputated and like not being able to get proper medical care and persisting anyway. Like we don't even know how lucky we are half the time.
Access to healthcare is something huge. We don't think about. Because like for example, here we're probably 10, 15 minutes away from the closest hospital at almost all times, depending where you live. Or like some sort of Medicare. My second month of training in Madagascar, I had appendicitis.
No
So
way.
I had to go to the hospitals, but I was 8 hours away from the hospital.
That could be like a
four
yeah.
hours. I had to wait for the ambulance, and then ambulance had to drive 4 hours back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm lucky that it didn't rupture, and yeah, I'm still alive. But
yeah,
it's just simple stuff like that.
Simple stuff like
4
that.
hours. Imagine being 4 hours away from a hospital.
I know. And that's
Crazy.
like something that could be easily fixable here could be a death sentence there. And that level of privilege is like something you won't understand till you go to like the Peace Corps. You go to a space that's so different from ours, where you just have your whole world rocked.
Yeah. That's why traveling is such a great
Traveling
teacher.
is really important. That's where, when I say I think I've learned more from the ocean sometimes in Stanford, it's because of the opportunities I've had from surfing to travel.
Awesome.
And as well, like in Papua New Guinea, there was a girl, I think she was from West Papua, but it was, a lot of times there's no education in any of the villages. So sometimes if a village is either lucky enough that they choose their village, they'll fly, like they'll helicopter a teacher to their village once a week. And that teacher will give them like classwork to work on, and then they return the next week and then they discuss. But this girl was like, she must be a genius because she got so advanced in Western studies that they kept sending this teacher out, even though a lot of other people, she was like the only person in the class. But then she had never left her village before ever. And she got on a truck, or what was it that it was time for her to go to college. So she walked like 4 days to come out of the jungle. Then she hitchhiked like another like 8 hours into the main city in Papua New Guinea called Port Moresby. And like that was the first time she had seen like any kind of Western conveniences of any sort. And it was like, when I think about like how I had a hard time initially when I went to Stanford, I'm like, that girl must have had it 50 times harder. And like never really seeing a computer and then suddenly like having to work with all these tools is like, and overcoming that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like that is straight genius level to me.
Imagine somebody seeing an elevator escalator for the first time.
Right? I know. Or even just like maybe like boba or like weird foods where you're like, what is this?
Yeah,
you know?
microwave.
All these like modern conveniences. And then we realized like people complain about going to school. Oh, I have to go to school. I have to do this. But like she walked 4 days through the jungle to go to school.
Yeah. So people walk miles just to get to school.
People walk miles.
Yeah.
So we are really lucky.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's a very good perspective. Okay, so before we end the podcast, I gotta know, what is your life hack? Were you able to think of one?
Yeah, I think my life hack now, my dad has been really active his whole life. And he, super active, super healthy lifestyle otherwise. But there's like a strong history of diabetes and like stroke in my family on the Kanaka side. And so both my tutu and my tutukane had issues with that, and that's how they passed away. So for my dad, I kind of was like, oh, he's going to break that intergenerational curse because he was so active, but he kind of ate any kind, you know, like he loves mac salad. He loves like L&L. He loves...
it's hard not to.
It's hard not to.
I
love that. I love that stuff too. I have like that same bad habit where like I used to grind anything, but then my dad ended up like getting pretty sick, and so now he has to go on like a pretty healthy-ish diet. So I've been doing all kinds of research about like how to eat like our kupuna would have eaten, foods that are good and healthy and digestible for Hawaiian people. And I've been trying it with him because like as a support system for like, I know it's hard for you to give up your mac salad and all kind, but you're not doing it alone. And actually I've felt so much better. Like I try to eat really simple stuff now, like try to not eat the processed food too much. Try to not like, like I used to grind candy a lot. Try to not eat processed food, try to not eat so much sugar. Trying to incorporate like ulu or kalo, like a lot more fish, a lot more, less rice, all that kind. And eating healthier, eating like how our kupuna would have eaten makes me feel a lot better. Like actually. So yeah, life hack is to the best of your ability, try to eat well and put good things into your body.
Yeah.
Because you kind of I have more energy. I get less tired. I sleep better. I exercise better.
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a good reminder, especially when you get older. Your body's not the same.
Yeah, it is not.
Right on. So I got my last Fast Fave 5 questions.
Yeah.
My laptop actually died, so I took a picture on my phone right before it died. I came prepared.
I was like, oh, he remembered. Oh, no wonder you were taking that picture.
Oh, you saw that? Yeah.
I saw that.
It's like, why is he on his phone mid-podcast? Okay, so...
No, I didn't think that. I was just like, oh, he probably has to remember something really important.
Yeah. So these are just rapid fire answers, okay?
Yeah.
Favorite travel destination?
Tahiti.
Nice.
Yeah.
Favorite Hawaiian word?
Aloha.
That's a good one. Favorite post-surf snack?
Probably...
Well, baby food like Moana.
No, everything was so funny. Probably maia. I like banana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got some
yeah,
maia for you right there if you want. Favorite way to recharge?
Surfing.
Nice. Oh, what about besides surfing?
Oh. Probably hanging out with Benji.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. You hear that, Benji? Watching Naruto together.
Cooking. We cook a lot of food together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And favorite TV show, movie, or book? Your choice.
Harry Potter.
Oh, that was a quick one. Book or the series? The movie?
Book. Specifically, I think The Goblet of Fire.
That's the fourth one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a solid one. You know Cal Neesmith, he's I don't know, he's from Kauai. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I don't know if
he's a linguist. His episode just aired.
Mm-hmm.
He translated the whole Harry Potter series into Hawaiian.
I gotta read that.
And Lord of the Rings. And he's Alice in Wonderland. Something else. He's working on Narnia, I think. Or he just finished
I gotta
Narnia.
read that. I feel like that'd be so helpful.
Yeah. That'd be super cool.
Because you know what the word's supposed to be in English. So when you start to, like, when you're learning, if you can see, and you're like, oh, I remember this chapter from English. And then, yeah. So helpful.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Mahalo so much for talking stories. How was that? Your first podcast? Yeah. You survived.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was a little nervous, but
no,
that was easy.
Yeah. See, it's just once you start talking, then you forget about everything.
Yeah.
How long do you think that was?
2 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. I think it's like 2 hours 15.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, pretty good. Good sense of time.
Yeah.
So Akamai, this one. So is there anything you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Nah, I feel like I talked enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, one thing I will say is I know not a lot of people, or if you have the privilege to take time to learn Olelo Hawaii, I think it's really important for multiple reasons. I think a lot of our Aina-based Ike is in the language. So like as I'm trying to go back and learn different things about like Hawaiian science, I'm having to like translate through all this stuff, and I think like practicing the language in the space, things make a lot more sense. And I think also what a lot of people might not know, because I used to work in a surveying firm. It was like it was part of an engineering firm that I used to work for right out of college. I quickly learned that I didn't like it there and that it was like everything that was against my values. But all of the Mahele records, the way that they split up land during the Great Mahele, were all initially surveyed by Hawaiian like surveyors in that time, and all of the original records are all in Olelo Hawaii. So even to this day, if there's like a kuleana lot, or if realtors or people are trying to develop land, they have to like know the certain boundaries and extents of kuleana property. And I think maybe one of the main reasons why they didn't want us to speak our language anymore, this is just a wild theory, was so that people couldn't connect to where their ancestral Aina was. So like if you don't want to learn Ike specifically about the Aina, or you feel like it might not be useful, it's actually really useful just in that space of like trying to connect with where your Ohana's Aina was, trying to understand like your Mo'oku Alhau, and trying to, I guess, like get that connection back.
For sure.
Yeah. And there's a multitude of other reasons too, but like if you want to try to get your land back, you gotta know the Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, and different histories. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, mahalo for sharing that. And where can we find you on social media? Or
yeah, you can find me on social media. I just have an Instagram at Maluhia Kinimaka. Otherwise, I'm semi-mysterious.
Yeah, maybe
Come
you just
talk to me in
run
real
into her randomly.
Yeah, come talk to me
If
in
she's
real
just
life.
staring at you, she's not being creepy, she's just kiloing. She's just observing.
Yeah.
But also, before we end this is actually our last episode at ID8 Studios. So
What?
you're our last guest over here. We're moving spaces.
No way. Where are you going to go?
We're going to be moving to a new studio that Jordan got, and he's going to produce a bunch of other podcasts. So if anybody else is looking to get their podcast produced, hit up The Kind Media. We're going to be at a new spot, so it's going to look different, and we're going to have a lot more access to that space. So it's exciting. But I just want to give a huge shout out to ID8 Studios. Mahalo for letting us squat here for the last year, I think. And mahalo to you for being our final guest over here.
Oh, mahalo.
Yeah.
That's an honor, actually. Aw.
Yeah. And they were one of the best guests. That's what we do. But mahalo, Maluhia, for joining us on the Keep It Aloha podcast. Spread love. Be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. We have new episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kinimaka, and remember to always keep it aloha.